In this short video, we are going to consider how past experiences of trauma, including abuse and neglect, may make some children more vulnerable to the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. Understanding such vulnerability is important if we are to make sense of a child's behaviour and provide the help and support they need as carers and professionals. To begin, we need to understand why the past is important in thinking about a crisis that is happening now. And to help us, we're going to use a simple ecological model. And here, we think about the child as being part of a number of different systems: the family, the community, and wider society. This approach is helpful because it reminds us that risk and resilience are not located in the child, but factors that emerge through the interaction between these different systems. Trauma will have shaped how a child develops models of the world, themselves and others, and as we described in the Trauma in the Brain animation, children adapt to earlier experiences of trauma in ways that may have helped them cope in the past. For example, adaptation of the threat system may lead to hypervigilance in a home where there was domestic violence. Experience of emotional abuse may have meant a child was ignored and rejected, influencing their sense of self. And prior relationships with adults that were abusive may lead a child to believe others can't be trusted. These vulnerabilities aren't fixed. They can develop and be repaired through new positive experiences, but this is difficult and takes time. During times of stress, underlying vulnerabilities are more likely to emerge. And if we go back to our model, we can think about how the coronavirus pandemic can contribute to this vulnerability. At the level of the family, social distancing has created significant disruption. There is much greater pressure on a small number of relationships. I need to compromise more and negotiate more, all in a smaller space. There are also real stressors for carers, worries about jobs, health, and loved ones. And this, of course, will impact our mental health and levels of stress. And in turn, these pressures can impact on our ability to help a child regulate their stress. When we're stressed, it is harder to step back and reflect, to be empathic, and stay calm if provoked. This means it is very important to attend to our own needs and well-being if we are to be of help to others. At the level of the community, we know that the pandemic has had a major impact on a child's wider relationships. They will be losing out on the positive experiences of being with teachers and peers. Lockdown and social distancing has also disrupted much of the support available to both children and foster carers. These experiences can trigger for the child memories of past losses and sudden endings experienced earlier in life. It may be hard to place these current losses in perspective and understand that they aren't permanent, and importantly, not their fault. In addition to the impact on relationships is the impact on the richness of a child's social fabric, their opportunities to learn and be stimulated, and to be contained by an everyday school routine. For some children, being more isolated may in fact bring a sense of safety, as they can now avoid the challenges of having to negotiate the outside world. At the level of society, the world during this pandemic has become a much more uncertain place. None of us know how the coming months will unfold. And naturally, this creates anxiety for all of us, but particularly for children where their world in the past was also deeply uncertain. They may fear that things will never return to normal, or that the future will mean further losses. They may worry, for example, that the carers will become ill or lose their jobs or no longer be able to look after them. How might these changes resulting from the coronavirus pandemic affect children? We can look at 3 different domains or systems as examples to help us think about this question. We've already touched on the fact that an increased sense of the world being threatening can increase a child's hypervigilance to threat. That is, increased attention and wariness for bad things to happen. And this may manifest in different kinds of feelings, particularly anxiety, but also behaviours that we can find challenging, such as irritability, aggression, and withdrawal. These responses can put greater pressure on family relationships at a time when we all need to cooperate more than ever. Triggering of past memories, including traumatic memories and experiences of loss, are likely to be more frequent. These memories and models of past relationships may now come to the fore. This may manifest in the child as increased worry, anxiety about losing current relationships, as well as a tendency to blame themselves. These memories can also lead to concentration problems and difficulty in thinking about the future. Finally, it is important to think about a child's experience of reward. All children will have lost many sources of reward from peers, teachers, and outdoor activities. This loss of reward may be harder to deal with for children who've experienced trauma, as we know they are likely to show differences in their reward system. This may manifest in the child as a lack of motivation, increased tiredness, low mood, and concentration problems. These responses need us to think carefully about how to structure and plan the day to engage and motivate a child's activity. Here we've thought about how children's adaptation to experiences of trauma in the past may impact on their response to the coronavirus pandemic. In the next topic, we will use this framework to help us think about how to better support children at the current time.